They did a ritual on me. The moment I was born, they did a ritual on me. I've been having rituals done to me through my whole childhood and teenage years, and then even as an adult, because they could just call out these altars. And I had no idea until Jesus Christ came into my life and set me free. Altar, or possibly more than one, I actually don't know, that would come forward. This was before I was saved, and take me to this Christian church, and I was a part of a satanic coven with other people who were Christians. I wasn't a Christian. A couple other people weren't Christians, but they were Christian people at a Christian church in the Christian sanctuary doing satanic rituals, worshiping Baphomet, Baal, Jezebel, Isis, Osiris, all of that. Worshipping, doing satanic rituals, sacrificing babies, blood rituals, bloodletting, all of that. I had no idea. Only Jesus Christ could reveal that to me. So as I found out that this was true for me, that I was at a Christian church, wasn't even saved, doing satanic rituals, my mind was absolutely blown away. I couldn't understand it. It made no sense to me. It took a long time for me to come to grips with this understanding. How is this? This is a church that people know about. The pastor is somewhat famous. He has nationwide influence, and people loved him. He's charismatic. He leads all kinds of things around my city for pastors and city officials and whatever. People love him. He's connected to all kinds of other churches, yet he leads a satanic coven in his church, and congregation doesn't seem to know, because that's how Satanism works. This Christian church that I at one time participated in and loved so much was actually the church where I would go to and do satanic rituals and be in a satanic coven. I went into just a shell because the pain that I had stuffed down for so long just was coming out like the flood. And so nobody wanted to have anything to do with me at that point in time. And they turned their backs on me and ignored me. I started being unable to participate in some of the things I was in. And then some of the things I was in, the people, the leaders just started treating me terribly. And it started to become a horrible experience. The witchcraft was so bad. I just wanted to not be there. And so we just finally decided to quit church, because not only was I turning into an outcast, but now I was getting pummeled by witchcraft for no reason that I could understand whatsoever. So we tried another church. I loved it and my husband loved it. And I didn't see too much wrong with it. You know, you can always find something wrong at church. You know, nothing's perfect. And there was just little things. Try not to be nitpicky, because there's things that I really, really loved. And I thought, this is a movement I want to be a part of. And then something happened that really disturbed me. Well, we brought our son home and he just started flipping out. He started acting crazy, and I mean, I thought, was he possessed by a demon? He was acting so crazy, so out of control. So I just started praying and praying and praying and trying to get discernment and trying to figure out what was going on. And soon the Holy Spirit started revealing to me that it had something to do with Kali, which is a Hindu goddess of destruction, and yoga, which I couldn't understand. So this church is a plant, and it was being held at a high school. So I looked on the internet at this high school to see if they had any kind of yoga classes. Turns out in the same room, the gym, where they have the kids, they have meditation classes at this high school. So they're meditating and they're summoning Kali. They probably don't even realize they're doing it. And so the spirit of Kali has some sort of hold over the gym where the kids go. So after that, I was really upset. It took a lot to break all the stuff off of my son so he could start acting normally, you know, like normal, happy, you know, kid. And so we took another break from church. So me and a friend went to some conferences. About 2 hours out of town. It was a 2-day conference, and by the end of the last day, I started seeing some things that really disturbed me. First of all, in worship, I was seeing some things that disturbed me about the worship leaders. Something about the worship just didn't feel right. Again, I was kind of feeling those off feelings that I had been feeling before at the other church, but not as bad. Not just that, but then my friend the night before had been up all night because she was being tormented, and God was showing her that there were witches at the church that was holding the conference, doing a ritual, and they had a pentagram set up in the sanctuary and were summoning Baphomet. We decided to go back a few months later, and on the way stop at another church that was having a conference to listen to this one speaker. My friend really wanted to hear. It was a huge church, never been there before. It looked like they had a good amount of money. They had a very nice facility, had all kinds of programs and worldwide missions and whatnot. They had their conference full of famous speakers and worship bands. And so we went, and I tried to keep an open mind. But the first thing that happened was the worship band came on, and they started playing this trance-like hypnotic worship. I couldn't understand it. It was nothing I could worship to. Then, all of a sudden, after a few minutes, they shifted into playing a popular Disney song. Well, I know for a fact that that's a song that's used in mind control programming. So I got really upset about that because I couldn't figure out why I was in a Christian church supposed to be having worship to Jesus Christ and we're listening to a Disney song. Everybody knows the song, so everybody was singing. They went back to their trance-like music for a little bit, and then they started playing regular worship songs. So my friend and I were on the second floor. It was like a balcony, and we could just see the whole bottom floor looking down. And now from when I was growing up, I was into rock music, and when I would go to a rock concert, there would be like a mosh pit where everyone would go up by the stage and they would kind of dance and thrash around. Anyway, so it reminded me of almost like a mosh pit up in the front of the stage, because people were all standing around worshiping, and there was one particular group, and they were all just laying hands on each other and praying, and some of them would be falling over and shaking and things like that. And from where I was standing, not being in the middle of it, my discernment was telling me that it was not right. They were doing witchcraft, and they were using the false Holy Spirit. And it was very disturbing. It was hard not to watch. It was like a car accident. How do you look away? It's like disturbing, but you want to look away, but you can't. And I just saw so many different things in that place that were like that really disturbed me. I saw people that I knew were from the coven, the satanic coven that I had been a part of before I was Christian. And God reveals those things to me in my sessions. And so I wasn't worshiping at all. I felt tortured. I felt like there must be astral rituals going on. I couldn't necessarily see them like I can see in the spirit realm. I have this discerning of spirits where I can see in the spirit realm. And I can see things most people don't normally see. I can see demons, and I can see angels. I can see all kinds of things. And so I'm just sitting there feeling tortured. I really wanted to leave. I was literally in hell being tortured at that time. We were there for like 2 hours. I just wanted to leave, and I'm sitting there thinking, why does my friend even want to be here? Does she not understand what's happening? Well, next thing I know, I see this figure all aglow and bathed in light on the stage walking down the stairs. And there was something in me that just wanted to throw myself off the balcony. I thought it was Jesus, and throw myself off the balcony to this being. And then I got a hold of my senses, and I thought, why would I want to throw myself off a balcony to be with Jesus? I've never had that inclination ever. And I've never even needed to. Jesus is with me all the time. I wouldn't need to throw myself at him. He's always with me. And I realized it was Lucifer. It was Lucifer himself. And as this being descended down the stairs and walked in the middle of this crowd that was just, everyone was just worshiping. And he was just in the midst of them, and they were just worshiping and worshiping and worshiping. And I just realized this whole entire worship set was to Lucifer. It was all Antichrist. It had nothing to do with God. There was a Christian group singing Christian worship music and Christian praises in a Christian church, and it was all for Lucifer. It was all for Lucifer, the Antichrist. And I just about fell over. I just didn't know what to do. I was just praying and praying and praying and praying. I told my friend, she was praying and praying and praying. So we go to the other conference, and I did not have the same experience. Once again, I felt the worship was off. I felt that I saw things in the paintings that disturbed me. I felt all kinds of witchcraft in the worship. I felt that there was a lot of New Age teachings that were disguised as Christianity. And I was just tormented till at the end of it, I was just praying and praying and praying to keep persevering and keep being strong, because I felt like God sent me there, so I needed to continue through. And I saw this fallen angel standing behind me with a sword to my throat. And that was about when I was like, let's just go. This thing's almost over. Can we leave now? And I just needed to go. And I didn't even feel better till we got out of the area code that apparently this fallen angel was in charge of. He was a territorial spirit in charge of that particular area code. And we had to drive like 2 hours to get out of the area code. So that's when I started to feel better. It was terrible, but it was such an eye-opening experience to start to understand these things that are hidden in secret that we have no idea whatsoever, no idea what's happening. And it's only because I've been going to healing, I have discernment, and God's revealing things to me, and I'm willing to see them. So after taking a break from church for a while, we found another church. It was a Pentecostal church. So we started going to this church. I loved it. I could see nothing wrong with this church. It had solid biblical teachings. They didn't act crazy at all. There wasn't a big, huge production in the worship. It was a smaller church. And I really saw nothing wrong. They were very active in the community. Everything seemed good. I was happy. I was thinking, this is where we're going to make a home. We started going to the membership classes. We started getting active. And then I realized that two of the people that started going to the church at the same time as me and my husband were people that were in this satanic coven that I used to be in. Didn't know that until Jesus revealed it to me in one of my inner healing sessions. Then I was very upset. I was in a panic and I didn't know what to do. So then it became trying to avoid those people because I started being friends with them. I had no idea who they were. So then we started kind of going on and off, maybe every other week or whatever. And then the same thing happened in worship where I started feeling like I couldn't handle the witchcraft. I was shaking. I couldn't focus. They started doing more lights in their worship than they were. They started doing on the screens, like moving images and things. I started noticing astral rituals happening, triggering mind control programming. I noticed it in how it was affecting me and my husband, so I knew it was happening. And I thought, I had this great idea. Let's go back to that one church that we used to go to. I was trying to worship, expecting a great time of worship, and it was the same thing that I had been experiencing at all these other churches where I was being pummeled by witchcraft. I could barely stand up. I couldn't focus on worship. I definitely couldn't find Jesus. And it got to the point where I just felt like if I don't leave, I don't know what's going to happen. I need to go, and I can't handle it anymore. Like the astral rituals, I felt like I was being tormented. It doesn't matter if they're teaching straight out of the Bible. In the spiritual aspect of these churches, there's a hidden agenda that's antichrist, that's Luciferian, where people are doing witchcraft, people are doing astral rituals, and people are worshiping Satan, and people don't even know what's happening. People do not know what's happening. Do some of them know? Maybe. I don't know. You know, I'm not an expert on this. I can only tell you my experience and my understanding to the best of my knowledge. I mean, this is so much bigger than just the Christian church. The point is that Revelation points it all out. It's clear as day. If you look through the 7 letters to the churches that Jesus writes, he talks about some of these very things. If you look at what's going to happen with the Antichrist, well, it's already happening. we're waiting for the Jews to rebuild the temple, because then that's when we expect the Antichrist to come. But the Antichrist is already here. He's already in the church. One day when I was sitting at this last church we were going to, and everyone was supposed to be praying, I just got this vision and I started drawing it out. And God showed me how Baphomet has set up his throne in the Christian church. It wasn't just the church I was in. This church didn't look like there was anything wrong at all. This was just in the Christian church. This is the way it is. This is not just, a select amount of churches. This is what's happening in our world right now. And we want to remain ignorant of it because I know nobody wants to know. I don't want to know. It's scary. It's terrifying. It's upsetting. It doesn't make any sense. It's confusing. But the thing is that this is reality. This is reality. And the only way we can make any changes about what's happening in church is to start with ourselves and our own homes and our own hearts. Have you given your heart to Jesus Christ? Have you given all of your heart, body, mind, and soul to Jesus Christ? Or do you still have areas that are holding up secret strongholds against him? We need to trust Jesus and Jesus alone. Jesus is not a church. Jesus is not a pastor. He's not a building. He's not a religion. He's not a denomination. He's not a service. He's not a sermon. He is God. He is the only God, the only true living God, the maker of the heavens and the earth. And everything was created for him and through him and because of him. They tried to kill me. They tried to take everything about God away from me. Then they tried to corrupt it and tell me that Lucifer was God and I needed to worship him. I have been totally messed up over years and years and years of my life. But Jesus Christ has redeemed it all. He has gone into my past and he has reshaped and remolded it, transformed it, and made me a new creation. I'm not a perfect person, but I am a new creation in Christ. And only because I've been willing to walk into the darkness with Jesus, because he is the light and there is no darkness in him, have I been able to get the darkness out of me.
Jesus, there's no there's no